Greyhounds are not normally house trained when they're looking for a forever home unless they've been fostered first. And so for many owners, house training is a necessary rite of passage. And alongside this, there can be related questions about dogs and peeing. And I hope to answer some of those in this video. New greyhound owners can be surprised by the size of the puddle that their greyhound can produce in relation to the assumed size of their bladder. And a healthy dog of any breed should produce some 20 to 40 mils of urine per kilo of body weight daily. For a 35 kilo greyhound, which is these guys, then that would equate to some 1.4 litres maximum a day. If you've had the misfortune to come home to a pee tsunami on the floor, as has happened to us on more than one occasion, you would probably expect that it's a lot more than 1.4 litres, to be fair. And this is why I tend to opt for an old towel to drop on the puddle to soak it up, rather than using something like kitchen roll, because it can walk everywhere very quickly, and bits of kitchen roll just do not stand much of a chance, to be honest. Dogs should pee several times a day like humans. They can typically hold their bladder for at least 4 hours, usually more if they're sleeping. Mine usually don't need to go overnight, but they don't either rush out in the morning to pee. So at least 8 hours, if not more than that. But it doesn't mean that they can last that long during the day. So if I'm going to be out, I try to arrange it that I would be back in the middle of the day so they can pee while I'm here in the garden, and then they should be fine till tea time. First thing in the morning, the urine can be quite a strong amber colour because it's been stored overnight. And after that, later on in the day, I would say a lighter amber or a dark straw colour, thinking about how they normally describe human urine. So probably darker than doctors would suggest that yours should be. Routinely producing large amounts of pale coloured urine probably means there is an issue with their kidneys, that they're not concentrating it properly, not taking out enough water. And this is something you do need to discuss with your vet. A sudden change in how often they need to go, cloudiness, accidents in beds, leaking, a change in the smell of the urine, things like this could be signs of a urinary tract infection, a UTI, or an issue with kidney function. And it could also be something like spay incontinence. And this means it is well worth collecting a sample and popping along to the vet for a checkup. Having a pee isn't always about having a full bladder, and it can sometimes be that they are marking the spot with their scent, and all dogs do this. In this case, they're going to leave just a little bit at a time rather than empty their bladder and leave a huge puddle. I have found that boys sometimes try to mark even when the tank is empty, and I've had both girls and boys who try to mark deliberately peeing over an interesting scent or where another dog has just peed. Floppy here takes it one step further and sometimes tries to pee on the dog while they are still in mid-flow, and that isn't too popular, is it, Maggie? It's not much fun to get peed on while you're having a wee yourself. She says, no, it's happened to me before. Cocking a leg is often related to marking. You see those little dogs that almost fall over sideways in an effort to get their wee as high as possible. Greyhounds don't usually feel such a threat to their ego, and if they're not marking, they will perhaps squat instead. I have had girls who have attempted to deliberately pee higher than just squatting, and they'll swing their butt round first. 3 of my boys don't typically cock their leg at home, but they will cock their leg when they're out on a walk. Jim in particular likes to stop every few blades of grass, it seems, in order to leave another mark. And so he does this pretty often during walks, but at home he mostly just lowers his pelvis a bit and kind of squats. Any guesses to who cocks his leg most at home? Let us know in the comments. And I have to say, I still have a lot of blankets draped around my house to try and protect them from the worst of his excesses. Naming no names here. One time that boys will definitely cock a leg can be immediately after a meal when they have just finished and they will pee in the empty bowl. Or in this case, go up to another dog's bowl and pee in that bowl, naming no names again. I assume this is a type of marking, and the only way of fixing that I found is to get rid of the bowls the moment that they finished, or to put them straight outside the moment that they finished if they've been eating indoors. And then hopefully you can try to prevent it before they indulge that urge. Sometimes leaving small amounts of urine about the place is due to anxiety, and I think that has been a lot of Floppy's issue when it's come to peeing that we would rather he didn't do. He is a master of this. The slightest upset and he starts peeing up stuff. And the amount they leave in this situation is more akin to marking than to needing to have a wee. And it's said that peeing on stuff in this way is in order to make the place smell more like them. So it helps them to feel more comfortable. My little Daisy was an anxious soul, and she would sometimes, when she was feeling anxious, actually go to her bed and have a pee. She didn't generally pee about the house, but you discover that she went specifically to her bed in order to pee. And that has to be for these reasons, not because she's being naughty, because she's anxious. Thankfully, Floppy here doesn't pee in his bed. I don't listen in case I tempt fate there. But he does cock his leg up pretty much anything else that is nearby. If anything is agitated, there is really quite a close connection. Something stressful happens, he needs to go and pee. And this was a bit of a nightmare to start with. In that first year, we have a whole separate video on Floppy and toileting troubles, and touch wood, things are much better. But if you're interested, do take a look at that video as well. They can be picky about where they pee in other ways too, in order to get something that they consider suitable to pee on, not just about how it smells, but the surface. And it might be that in kennels they're used to having to pee on a hard surface, on a concrete or tiled floor, but that doesn't mean that they prefer to pee on a hard surface. And if you're struggling to get your greyhound to pee, it can be useful, if the surface available is all slabs or concrete, to head for the nearest piece of grass. And that can often increase your chances of success. Even at home, Meggie will sometimes scratch at the gate to get me to let her into the place where there is grass in order to have a wee rather than pee on the yard. And sometimes I wonder if this is why they prefer to pee on carpet at home rather than go outside if the outside is all hard surfaces. I hope this has given you some insights into the complexities of your greyhound's relationship with their bladder. And if it comes to having a pee, it might have answered some of your questions. If you have any other greyhound quirks when it comes to peeing, do let us know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed our video, we would love for you to give us a thumbs up. But I'm impressed that he's stayed this long. So that is all for us for today. We'll be back again soon. Bye for now.